Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are going to be launching the final shuttle launch here, and in commemoration of the send-off of the shuttle, I'm going to be doing this entirely manually. I'm not going to be utilizing MechJeb for it, so that means that we're going to have to warp around here until we are roughly in line with this inclination. So we're going to need to head around over this way a bit. We're going to need to warp forward a fair amount here. Somewhere around... Where are we? Okay, a little further than this. And we can see the path that the station is taking. So we can see approximately where we're going to need to burn, but an inclination change will still be necessary. Okay, so we're going to have to head up this direction towards like the 135 marker. And we're not quite in plane yet. We're about in plane now. Okay, let's throttle up, and let's go on to kill rot, and we're out of here. Fantastic. So we're going to need to head out this direction, right? So we're going to need to rotate something like this or so. I'm just going to go on that 135 degree marker. I don't think this is exactly the directionality that we're going to need, but we'll just get into position here. Now that we've rotated, we can start to get a little bit of horizontal speed. I don't like this oscillation side to side that we've picked up. Hopefully that will go away shortly as we pick up speed. But we're getting a little bit of horizontal speed here, and we're almost certainly going to have to get some amount of... Yeah, we are heading the correct direction. We'll have to do some amount of inclination change, definitely. But let's just make our way on up here. For the moment, I want to... Actually, overshooting this a little bit is not the worst thing. We know that the station is about here, right? So that's reasonably fine. Let's just burn about here for now. And how long do we have on our SRBs here? About 18 seconds? Okay. We'll burn here until our SRBs burn out, is going to be the idea. So at this point, we're primarily, well, we're getting about an even amount of vertical and horizontal speed. So that's absolutely fine. SRBs are going to be out very shortly, detaching them now. Okay, and now we are going to head over towards the horizon here. Now our gimbaling is going to be a little extreme, but I think without it being on MechJeb, we don't need to lower our gimbals. Maybe we do. Ooh, that was closer than expected. Okay, let's bring our gimbal limit down to about 33. And we want to hold basically at the horizon, right on this trajectory. Okay, somewhere around there or so. Controls are definitely sluggish at this time. No doubt about that. How are we doing on that inclination? 7.8 degrees off and getting closer. I like it. So we're probably going to have to veer off this way if we wanted to get it more accurate. But as it is, I think this is probably good enough. We'll just do an inclination change once we achieve an orbit here. And it's in a similar-ish orbit. 6.5. Yeah, we would need to veer off this direction if we really wanted to correct that. I guess we could do that. We could position ourselves about here for now. Okay, this isn't going to get too much better than it is right now. So I'm going to bring this... Ooh, overcorrected that a bit. Bringing it back to about here. Cool. Our apoapsis height is high enough, so now we can start to coast. 3.4 degrees off, not too bad, all things considered. So we can definitely toss in a circularization burn here, and then we'll do an inclination change before we head over to the ISS. That shouldn't be too bad of an inclination change, all things considered, considering we're 3 degrees off. Not too bad at all. We're definitely going to do our circularization burn and the inclination change with the big orange tank fuel. And then we'll probably just head on with the shuttle fuel after that, but we'll see how that goes. So we could thrust limit this down. We may want to, actually. We may want to thrust limit down at this point because we're going to be... We have some offset thrust here. That will allow our gimbal to be a little bit more effective, and we really don't need the huge amount of thrust that these 3 vectors give. This will be about a 3-minute burn, but we can physics work that, and that shouldn't be a big deal. So it's about 1 minute to this burn. 40, 30, 20, 10, and 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Okay, so we're going to be burning this for a fair amount of time, of course. Even at this thrust limit, we can see that there is definitely some change happening here. And that'll happen more and more as we work our way down through this burn. So that all looks good. We do, of course, need to get a fair amount of additional horizontal speed here. About 250 more meters per second to go. Our periapsis height is still within the ground. So, you know, that's not necessarily ideal. We certainly do want to be in a relatively circularized orbit. And yeah, we can see as this gets further down, this is changing more and more. We're probably going to be in a good enough state at any moment now. In fact, we already are really in a good enough state. I'm going to push us up over this direction for the time being. And we can just manually hold this attitude. Okay, the reason this is moving like this is because of our thrust offset, which is fine. This is good enough. Okay, so we are in a reasonable-ish orbit here. And at this point, we are 3.5 meters per second, or not meters per second, 3.5 degrees off. So let's do an inclination change, and 3.5 degrees is not so bad. Okay, this is the correct direction. 3 degrees, 2 degrees, 1 degree, and yeah, right about there. Looks good. Let's align to that node. That'll be a 46 second burn. We still have 850 meters per second left in our big orange tank. As you can see, this is definitely a little bit less efficient than running a MechJeb solution for it. Obviously, MechJeb is going to do a slightly better job here. But all things considered, this wasn't so bad. Fantastic. So let's warp on over here. About 2 more minutes to warp. There we go. And we can warp about 1 more minute. 40 seconds, 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0. Inclination change. Let's go. So once again, this is going to start drifting on us, and we're going to physics warp through the beginning portion of this. Once we're about halfway through, we're going to need to manually hold attitude here a bit. Okay, this is definitely drifting on us, but that is expected. Again, this is happening due to our thrust offset. That just changes our vector in some strange ways, and we have to compensate for it. Okay, this should be good enough. How are we doing? 0.0 degrees. I like it. So now, if we were to look to intercept the station, what would that timing look like? That's actually not too bad. We need to burn, like, now, unless we want to toss in, like, some radial here. Alternatively, we could just say we're a little too late here, and I think that's the only real solution, is to say that. And we need to burn more like... Oh, hello. I wanted to remove an orbit there. I guess we'll do it this way. We needed to burn more like back here, right? And that is... fine. We can wait until the next window. We just missed this window. So that's 2.3 kilometers with 152.6 meter per second relative speed. That sounds pretty good. At this point, what we want to do is, I guess we're getting aligned to this node. Sure. But what we really want to do at this point is ditch the big orange tank. So we need to ditch that and reconfigure for spaceflight. So Bill, let's have you EVA. And you are going to go head on over. You can hop into Kerbal construction mode. And we will reconfigure for orbital spaceflight for the very last time here. Okay, so we're going to... Oh, we were already in Kerbal construction mode. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks good. And now we're going to change this hinge to be 0 degrees. And restrut that. 1. I'll make this internal. 2. I'll make this one internal as well. 3. Where are you at? There you are. And finally, 4. So that one will go out over this way. Sure, here will do. Okay, so we are now reconfigured for spaceflight, and Bill can go hop back in. Anytime you feel like it, Bill, that would be absolutely great. Okay, and there we go. So now we can align to the node, and we can start to warp to that. That will be a while, about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So we'll warp on through. Fantastic. And we've got about 58 seconds to go here, so we can warp a little bit further. 40, 30, 20, 10, and I actually overshot that a little bit, but it should be fine. This will only be about a 20-second burn, so no problem whatsoever. We'll just get this pushed right on out, and then we'll do our normal rendezvous procedures. This is not really going to be any major issues. Hopefully we don't impact our tank. I don't think we will. We shouldn't. No, we're not going to. Okay, there we go. This is absolutely fine. We are close enough. So now we're going to be heading up towards the station. 14-kilometer separation. That is a fair amount of separation, but we can do a corrective burn around here or so. While we warp, let's swap into target modes. And we'll keep an eye on this. Our first burn, since we're going to be like 170 apart, our first burn should be pulling this node over this direction, and it's going to be a relatively hefty burn. So we're just correcting our separation here down to 8 kilometers. And we just want these two nodes to align with each other. That said, I'll probably stop this burn around 200 meters per second. That's 4.4 kilometer separation. That looks decent, and now we're going to start slowing ourselves down. So that, of course, means that our burn target is going to be somewhere around here. We want to continue to change our lateral vector, while at this point decelerating our speed towards the target. The slower this goes, the more effective these burns are, of course. Okay, so we're down to like 130 meters per second. It's pretty slow, all things considered. We'll call that good. It is not perfect, but it's good enough for now. We're currently 0.2 kilometer separation. Actually, that is good enough. Okay, where is the station? There it is. 4.5 kilometers out. We're only traveling at 118 meters per second. So keeping that in mind, we're going to start this burn probably sometime around 1.5 kilometers, I think. That should be a little too early, but better too early than too late. Absolutely. So we're loading in the station now. Goodbye, frame rate. Just how bad is the frame rate? It's pretty bad. Okay, yeah, this is going to need a restart. Some of these previous ones haven't, but this one does. Let's bring this in to 1.5, 1.7, 1.6, and 1.5. Commencing braking burn. And that's slowing us on down. Down to about 100 meters per second. 90 meters per second. 80. Now, this might actually be slightly too late. But, I mean, that's just a thrust to weight thing, right? So that's absolutely fine. Actually, I think this is going to be pretty close. We'll overshoot a little bit, I think. But not very much at all. So we're currently down to about 40 meters per second relative. 30 meters per second relative. The frame rate is abysmal, and we absolutely do need to restart the game. There's no doubt about that. 20 meters per second relative. We're angling for 5. That'll do. Okay. So obviously we're a little ways away from the station, but that is expected. I want to warp a little bit further here, I think. Let it start to pass underneath us. Okay. And we're going to start a burn about now-ish. And we're just going to bring this down to a relative speed of 0. We're going to want to get closer to the station, but we're going to want to do that after we have some frame rate. That would be nice. I mean, it's not going to be great frame rate. We know that. But some frame rate would be good. So we're down to 2 meters per second. Make that 1 meter per second. And relative halt as of about now. We'll call this good enough. I'm going to quick save here, and I will be back right after we restart the game. See you guys in a moment. Okay, so here we are with the game restarted. We have some semblance of frame rate now. It's somewhat better, anyway. And we need to head towards the station and get a little bit closer. So, I don't like physics warping this close to the station. We should not do that. We're just going to turn towards the station, and we're just going to head in a little bit. I'm only going to head towards the station at about half a meter per second. Remember that one of our payloads is self-deploying. And I think we want to put that about here or so. We'll have to double check that as we get closer. So let's burn in a little bit towards the station. About half a meter per second will be fine. Why are we drifting off of the target marker? Is what I'm wondering right now. We're supposed to be pointing at target. This is not pointing at target, but okay. Well, let's just move this in. I'm not entirely sure why it's doing that. That seems strange, but whatever. We're just going to warp in a bit here. And we're warping quite quickly, right? Because we're moving quite slowly. And that's reasonably fine. Yeah, this is drifting off, but that is expected. Okay, let's redirect this a little bit to be off this way. Okay, we're killing off some of this speed out over here, but I want to bring us in a wee bit closer. Yeah, this is a good trajectory. Somewhere around here. So at this point, I want to put us in kill rot, and we're just going to bring our trajectory into the forward vector. With our trajectory in the forward vector, we can then just back this off a little bit and bring this to a halt. This direction would help. There we go. Okay, so we're currently looking at the station from the zenith side. And let's just bring that to a halt. There we go. So we're looking at it from the zenith side. Let's open up our cargo bay here, and we're in kind of an awkward angle to look inside of our cargo bay, but it should be fine. So at this point, we need Bill to EVA, and we're going to have to deploy our mechanisms here. So mechanism number 1, we're going to grab this strut, and we're going to do something like this. We just need to move this strut somewhere where it's a little out of the way. Sure, that'll do. We're going to grab this strut out over here. We're not getting it from this angle. Okay, let's grab it from this angle. Okay, there we go. And there is one additional strut, but that should not be related to this first payload. Okay, so next we are going to hop into our shuttle, and we're going to operate the robotic arm. All that's going to do is set the target angle to 0. Okay. RCS off for the moment, and I want to ensure... You know, that's probably why we had some weirdness there. This monoprop was running. Let's move the monoprop out of here and make sure that this is maximized. Okay. Next, I'm going to undock this guy. There we go. And we're going to hop over to Bill. Bill is going to... Where are you at, Bill? There's Bill. Bill is going to want to remove this docking port. Assuming the game lets him. And I want to put this solar panel right on there. For now, I guess we could just put it on like that. The game won't let me remove the docking port, but we do have a spare docking port, so we should be okay on that front. And then all we would need to do is hop over to here. Where is that at? Here it is. We'd hop over to here, set this guy as our target, and then I would simply put us in kill rot. Oh, that's very sensitive. Okay, that's incredibly sensitive. We're going to need to thrust limit these pretty heavily. So I'm going to thrust limit this down to about like 2% thrust for each of them. Okay, that did it for both. That's much more manageable. Okay. Now I want to stop for the moment moving away from the station. You can see we're barely emitting anything, but our thrust is changing. So that looks good. At this point, Bill is going to grab this in move mode. And I just want to make this be a little more centered. I don't love having that docking port there. That was not the plan, but I guess it's fine. Okay, I want to do this in local space. Move this guy over to here, and then just move it up to be about there. We're just looking to center it a bit. Okay, now we can put it in rotate mode. And just rotate it to be, you know, something about like this or so. So it's just got its own power. Cool. That should work for now. We'll exit construction mode. And we're going to board. Now, the question is, where does this want to grab on? The answer to that is, if we hop over to our diagram here, we can take a quick look. We are the AMS-02. That is this guy here. It basically goes above the ESP-3. So that is absolutely fine. We can definitely do that. So taking a look at our station, let's hop over to the station directly here. Taking a look at our station, we can see that the ESP-3 is this guy here. So we want to put it about here. Okay, sounds good. So at this point, do we have a reaction wheel in this, or is it pure RCS? Let's see here. Remote guidance wheel does have a reaction wheel. Okay, so we're going to use just the reaction wheel. And what direction is what here? Need to get our orientation under control. Okay, things are a little bit awkward in terms of that. Let's get this rotated slightly so things feel a little bit better. Maybe a 90-degree rotation, something like this. Okay, now things are just inverted. So let's just rotate this right on around 180 degrees. And it should end up being somewhere around here, where controls are more reasonable. Yeah! Okay, we're inverted on left and right, but that's okay. I don't mind that. So this is fine. We're going to need to head in a little bit closer out over here, of course. So we're just going to get some speed here. And at this level of thrust limit, it's going to be kind of slow to get speed, but that's fine. We could maybe bump these up to like 4% thrust and double that. It's a little on the low end. Yeah, this is fine. Cool. So we're just heading forward here. We're not getting into our final position just yet. I just want to get a little closer here. Cool. So obviously we're going to have to head out over this direction a bit. But this being self-deploying does mean that we will have some pretty decent, like, space constraints, right? We won't have any real problem with space constraints. Let's bring this to a bit of a halt, since we are relatively close now, and just doing a little bit of thrust modification here. Turning RCS off, and I want to rotate us over to be a little bit more along the lines of this or so. Okay, now we're going to need to go this direction. So, RCS on, and that should be, I believe, since the side-to-side controls are inverted, I believe that should be this way. We're not going to see puffs of monoprop. Ooh, that's not that way. Hang on. Okay, trying to go the other direction and counteract that. I'm not seeing any effect. Okay. Got it. My hands were on the wrong keys, I think. Wait a sec. What way are we going right now? 2, 1. Okay. I'm not entirely sure what direction we're going, but I think we're now going this way, broadly. And we should need to go this direction. But it's actually the opposite. Okay, gotcha. That is fine. This is a lot harder when we can't see the puffs of monoprop, but this is so light that we have to be thrust limited like this. Okay, so now we're heading approximately the direction that I want to head. It's definitely easier when we can see the monoprop puffs. Okay. I'm going to enable the advanced grabbing unit. We're going to arm that, but we're not going in for the grab just yet. We're angling to be about here. That is our current target point. And we're just going to head right on over. I think we're going to need to do some of this number and just change our overall rotation here. Now, I don't want to be going forward anymore. Or I guess up in this vectoring. And this is the wrong way. Okay, so we're going to need to go down ever so slightly. So we're just bringing this around until this guy crosses our plane here. There we go. That's about right. I like it. Just slowly easing our way into position. Not quite there yet, but we're getting very, very close. So I'm just going to bring us a little further back this way. I'm going to start dropping down our speed. Okay. Speed has dropped nicely. I want to get a little bit more speed in the verticality. Okay, a little less speed in that direction. Yep. That looks decent. We're bringing ourselves into position nicely. And let's bring this down to a halt for now. We'll evaluate our positioning. We're going to need to go in a little bit here. Okay. Something about like that. Wait, is in inverted? It feels like we're going away from target. Yes, in is inverted. Forward and reverse are inverted. Okay, good to know. That is absolutely good to know. So let's just rotate this around a little bit. We need to go off this way a bit. Nope, other way. Since we're going backwards, it's this way a bit. And I think a little bit in the up vector. Yes. Okay, just bring this on over. That's an interesting coincidence. That's entirely a coincidence, though, the fact that those lined up like that. 100% that's a coincidence. Okay, so we're just bringing this to about here or so for now. And we're just heading right on in. I want to go a little bit further over so we're not completely getting rid of that speed. Okay, something about like that should do. Excellent. So inward we go, and this is approximately where we want it to be. There's a little bit of sway here, no doubt about that. So we're going to need to, I think, compensate for that a little bit by coming out this way. Yeah, definitely needing to compensate for that swaying. Bringing it back. And let's change our yaw a little bit here to be about there or so. And we're about to grab on, but I'm changing our pitch a little bit to be a little bit straighter. Okay. Definitely, I would like to be a little further over this way, but with this entire apparatus swaying a bit, I think that's good enough. So we'll call that good for now. That's positioned almost where we want it. And now we're going to need to work on the ELC, but that is a mission for next episode. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Kentogan, Ali Lee, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.